वेलकम बैक टू द चैनल गाइस। तुम सबका स्वागत है टू द सेकंड एपिसोड ऑफ चाय विद सेनपाई। होपफुली तुम लोग अपनी अपनी चाय लेकर आए हो फॉर दिस स्पेशल एपिसोड। तुम्हें याद होगा कि हमने लास्ट ईपी में तुम्हें थोड़ा सा नच किया था टूवर्ड्स आवर नेक्स्ट गेस्ट एंड द मोमेंट इज हियर। अगर तुम्हें नहीं पता है तो आज हमारे साथ द लेजेंडरी मल्टी टैलेंटेड एनिमेटर, डायरेक्टर, कंपोजर एंड विद मेनी मोर अदर टैलेंट्स हमारे साथ आज हैं मिस्टर उस्मान रियाज। तो पहले से सारे सारे आगे बता दो थोड़ी सी प्लीज़। जितना इंट्रो बोले उतना कम है यहाँ पे। एंड उस्मान, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल एक्सेप्टिंग द इन्विटेशन फॉर दिस इंटरव्यू। हाउ आर यू डूइंग?
First of all, I just want to say thank you. Pleasure to be here, and thank you very much for considering me for this.
Yeah,
Thank you.
actually the pleasure is all ours. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So Usman, like in general, अभी तक I don't think हमको कुछ वैसे बोलने की ज़रूरत है, but as far as we know, हमारे जितने भी viewers हैं उन सबको already पता है कि what's the word of mouth going around right now about Glassworker and all. सबसे पहले मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूँगा right कि you have a lot of talents. मैं आपको बताता हूँ क्या। मैंने तरुण और रजत और मैं बात कर रहे थे इस बारे में। आई रिमेंबर वॉचिंग अ किड प्लेइंग अ गिटार लाइक ऑन टेड टॉक्स एंड दिस वाज लाइक आई थिंक 8 or 7 years ago. आई एम गोना बी ऑनेस्ट, जब मेरे को हमारे क्या बोलते हैं अंकित भाई ने जब बोला कि लाइक उस्मान रियाज है लाइक एंड ही इज़ द डायरेक्टर ऑफ ग्लास वर्कर, आई वाज लाइक ओ ओके। फिर व्हाट, आई स्टार्टेड लाइक गोइंग थ्रू द रैबिट होल and this video, वो वीडियो फिर से आई। I was like, wait, I know him. I've seen that. I was like, I've seen that video before, and I remember the amazement that I had when you were playing those instrumental pieces. It was such a mesmerizing thing to listen to. You had your क्या बोलते हैं, inspiration playing with you as well. So first of all,
Oh yes.
how many
That's
how many talents? You're a musician, you're an animator, director, composer, like और भी कुछ मतलब छुपा के रखा हुआ है यहाँ पे?
No, thank you so much. I'm very very grateful. And yeah, जिस वीडियो की आप बात कर रहे हैं वो 2012 में TED Global पे मैंने बजाया था Preston Reed के साथ, who was the pioneer of percussive guitar. So that was a huge moment for me. I was 21 years old. I was at the time the youngest TED fellow ever selected, and then I went on to become the youngest TED senior fellow, which was a huge honor. But that really opened the floodgates for everything because I got to be in an environment with some of the greatest minds in the world. And at my first TED, Elon Musk was there talking about Hyperloop. So I got to see all of these incredible people. And that kind of, as I kept going to the TED conferences and seeing people pursue their passions and pursue everything that they were just gifted in, but also just inspiring everybody around them, I got sucked into that inspiration as well. TED is a very magical environment. And that's where I was like, अच्छा मैं भी एनिमेशन की तरफ आ सकता हूँ। मैं बचपन से ड्रॉ कर रहा हूँ।
Yep.
I've been drawing as long as I could, as long as I've been playing music, maybe longer, ever since I could hold a pencil. लेकिन एनिमेशन के बारे में कभी सोचा नहीं था क्योंकि पाकिस्तान में हैंड ऑन एनिमेशन का कोई इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं है। There's nothing here for that. पाकिस्तान में अब जाके बहुत अच्छा सीजी काम हो रहा है और फिल्में भी बनती हैं, but they're nothing compared to India. India is a institution. Bollywood is an institution that nobody can compete with. Like those films are some of the best in the world. तो हमारी फिल्में बन रही हैं, but I wanted to do something different, and animation was always the dream. So when you were asking about all of the things I can do in this film, in the Glassworker, it's a culmination of everything that I love and everything that I enjoy doing. You have music, you have storytelling, you have film, which is directing, and of course, just the craft of animation itself. So you see all of those things come together in this. And there are a lot of things I cannot do, though, but I'm not going to advertise the things I can't do. So you can see what I can do. Though I'm very, very grateful and thank you so much.
yeah, but really amazing level of skill and talent you have. एंड अबाउट द फिल्म द ग्लास वर्कर, जो आपने स्टोरी लिखी है, डायरेक्ट भी की है, स्टोरी बोर्डिंग, even co-compose भी, so much that you have poured into this film. Tell us something about it. So how did it come into fruition? What inspired you to make this film?
अगर फिल्म के जेनेसिस पे आते हैं तो इट probably started when I visited the Murano glass blowers in Italy, in Venice. और वहाँ पे जो मैंने उनको बनाते हुए देखा, I thought the craft was just as interesting as the end result. So I always thought, why has nobody made a film on this? और मैं 15-16 साल का था, I think. नहीं, 15 साल का था. And just tucked the idea in the back of my mind and didn't think I'd make a film out of it. फिर उसके 2 साल बाद एक फिल्म आई, परफ्यूम, और उसमें भी वो एक्सप्लोर करते हैं कि परफ्यूम कैसे बनता है. And I thought, okay, we have a film about how perfume is made. How come nobody's made a film on glass blowing? It was just an idea. And then as the everything that I described happened, jab main TED pe gaya, when I saw all these amazing people, I started thinking, okay, maybe I can do animation. And the first idea I picked out to do this was glass blowing. And that's really how the whole thing started. But then I went on a whole other journey, that how will I make this film? In 2014, I started sketching and drawing all of my ideas. And I initially thought I'll go to Japan and make this. I started storyboarding the film. And I went to Japan in 2015. I spoke at TEDx Tokyo about my love for specifically the Japanese animation industry. And that was an amazing trip. And then I got magically invited to my favorite animation studio in the world, which is Studio Ghibli. And मैं पहुंचते ही रोना शुरू हो गया. बिल्डिंग को देख के रोना शुरू हो गया, दरवाजे को देख के रोना शुरू हो गया, अंदर जाके रोना. I was a mess. And then I had to collect myself because my hosts were getting embarrassed कि ये रोता क्यों रहता है. But I couldn't believe I was standing there. It was such a surreal experience क्योंकि मैंने इतनी documentaries देखी हैं और मैंने इतनी किताबें पढ़ी हैं. And then I was in the building. I was just a Studio Ghibli fan from Karachi. मतलब, what am I doing in Studio Ghibli? And it was a magical trip. And वहाँ पे एक आदमी थे, Shin Hashida. He showed me around. And I showed him my storyboards. We sat in the Ghibli cafeteria. I showed him my storyboards, and he saw everything and said, "Look, you're clearly talented, but if you want to make this film, instead of making it in Japan, you should form your own studio." And Mariam and I had been talking about. Mariam is my wife.
Yep.
We had been talking about uh, just how to do animation in Pakistan, but that was really the jumping off point. And he said, you should form your own studio and make this and not make it in Japan. And I joke everywhere that maybe he was just trying to get rid of me because I was just crying everywhere. कि ये पागल कहाँ से आ गया? But took that advice to heart, and that's how we started Mano Animation Studios. And Mariam Khizr, my cousin, and I run the studio, and it took us 10 years to make this film. And just to quickly answer the question of why did it take 10 years, the film actually took 4 years to make. In 2019, we went into full-scale production, but 2014 से 2019 तक हम infrastructure तैयार कर रहे थे, production pipeline तैयार कर रहे थे. बीच में Kickstarter भी किया, which I debuted at TED, and that allowed us to raise a certain amount of financing to make a few minutes of animation as a pilot. And then we went into full-scale production in 2019. So while the film took 4 years, the whole journey to completion took 10 years.
Nice. Actually, that is such a incredible journey. Definitely. You mentioned, right? You mentioned that you are a fan of Studio Ghibli, right? What is actually your favorite movie from Studio Ghibli?
I mean, I love all of them, but if I had to pick one, it's a strange selection. But I think compared to like the what people usually say, which is Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke, Howl's Moving Castle, my favorite Ghibli film and my favorite Hayao Miyazaki film is The Wind Rises.
Oh.
That was the film I
The
saw.
Wind Rises.
Wind Rises, Kaze Tachino. That was the film I saw in a theater in Boston in 2013. और उस फ़िल्म को देख के मैंने कहा, "I have to do this. Like, what am I doing with my life?" Even though
Yeah,
I'm very grateful I was at
that
Berkeley
movie is
College.
also about dreams.
Exactly, and it was about how they were building these advanced airplanes
Airplanes.
in rural
Yeah.
Japan, and they would drag the planes out on ox carts, and they would constantly complain that Germany is so much more further ahead than us. How are we going to do this in Japan? All of those things, and I could just see everything started to click when I watched that movie. And like Caproni is to Jiro what Hayao Miyazaki is to me. So I could see myself in that character, which is what all great movies do. You're meant to see yourself in the character. But I really felt that film. It hit it. I don't know what it did. I mean, I obsess over all of Miyazaki's films and Isao Takahata's films and even Hiromasa Yonebayashi's films. I love the Studio Ghibli library, and I love Goro Miyazaki as well. I love Tales from Earthsea, even though a lot of people don't really like that film. I think it's brilliant. Uh, that movie did something to me. It moved me in a way that no other movie did.
Hmm. Okay, so you mentioned about the pilot episode thing that you made to do a fundraiser. We actually saw that back then,
Yeah,
uh, and at that time we were also starting out as a YouTube channel, and we used to dub anime in Hindi so that more people can watch it.
that's amazing.
Thank you. So, and just some months back, we watched the trailer again, and
Mm.
it was like a surprise. This movie is finally like coming. It disappeared after that, and it came back after such a long time.
The Kickstarter pilot really allowed us to just experiment and plan everything out. It was not the most refined piece of work, but it was a starting off point. And then once we did that, we used that pilot, showed it around that this is what we're capable of doing. And then we went into full scale production, and that's when we really refined everything to the degree that I wanted. The film obviously will I'll never be fully satisfied with it because I know what I wanted in my head, and I got to work on a lot of the shots, and I'm very happy with a lot of my shots and a lot of shots that our animation director did, our animation supervisor did. That some shots look amazing, but obviously the vision that I had for it, it'll never get to what I saw in my head. But I think for what we did in Pakistan for our first film, uh, a testament to just the position that we were in to make this film. I don't think we could have done a better job within the circumstances that we had. So I'm very proud of that.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. From an audience perspective, back then when we watched the first trailer and the first cut of the movie, it was something never seen before. From
Mm.
coming from a place like, even if it's like India or Pakistan, like coming from a country like that, it was something never seen before for us. Like,
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you.
So I have another question for you. So see, आपने बताया कि growing up you already knew कि like you were interested in animation and music as well. I think you talked about in an interview कि your family has a history of actually playing instruments, right? It's like passed down. Did you ever think, because हमारे यहाँ क्या होता है, इंडिया में क्या होता है, if you have all of these extra talents, like मतलब animation है, you like you're a musician, वो बोलते हैं इसके बाद भी science and commerce ले लो भाई. Like, so what happened in your family? Like, did they actually tell you to like go with it?
So I will say that Pakistan में भी यही हाल है. If you have all of these skills, they still say doctor तो बन जाओ, then
Yeah.
you can do all of that. तो वही हाल है इधर. I think what's different for me is I'm very, very grateful for this. कि मेरी family, everyone's been just incredibly supportive. My father has always said कि whatever you do, do it with your heart. दिल लगा के करो. So I've had some freedom there, but obviously there's still pressure कि मतलब financing जो हमने raise करनी थी और बाकी चीजें जो करनी थी to make this film. I think the Kickstarter really showed everybody that okay, there is an audience out there for this that's willing to give money to see something like this. That was the first litmus test to do something like this in Pakistan. Uh, but I come from a family that has obviously done a lot of theater work, a lot of film work. My grand uncle Zia Moyuddin was a prominent actor in the West End in London and acted in a lot of films, including Lawrence of Arabia. He was the guide in the beginning that's in the film for 15 minutes and then he gets shot. But he was in Lawrence of Arabia. So everybody has some sort of creativity in them from my father's side. And my mother's side, they're pretty much all artists. So I got a great exposure to the filmmaking theater world through my father's side and Urdu literature and music and then art through my mother's side. So I'm very grateful for that.
I think I was seeing the documentary of the Glassworker, and behind the scenes I saw a very मेरे मतलब मैं जितने shows वगैरह देखता हूँ right Netflix shows वगैरह I saw a very known face and I was kind of like taken aback from that. In the casting you have Sacha Dhawan with you and he has
Yeah.
worked on Marvel's Iron Fist. I was thinking, wow, like you have people working in your team, like जो कि Marvel में भी काम कर चुके हैं. How did that actually like happen? Like, did you guys had like a interview about it or?
Working with Sasha was a blessing. Sasha's done so many great things, and he's in Doctor Who as well.
Yeah.
He's in The Great alongside Elle Fanning. He plays a character called Orlo. We have the amazing Art Malik voicing his father. The way the cast was actually assembled is we worked with a man called David Friedman. David Friedman did a lot of the dubbing work for Studio Ghibli's The Wind Rises. He worked alongside Jeffrey Wexler. Jeffrey Wexler was a consultant on the project very early on and a huge supporter of the film and was the point person who I connected with in Japan constantly. So through Jeff and through David, we assembled the cast, and David had this suggestion, and I loved that we keep it South Asian cast. So we focused on British South Asians in Hollywood and in the UK who could be a part of the dub for this film. And we wrote to them, and they loved the project and came on board. And I'm very grateful. Everybody just saw the sentiment behind this project and saw that it's the first time it's being done in Pakistan, saw the quality, saw my storyboards, read our script, and said, we want to be a part of this. And very grateful for that.
Yeah, you got to work with the people who inspired you.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That was amazing, and yeah, as hard as making this film was, it was very difficult. But there were some amazing moments throughout this 10-year journey.
Actually, we prepared like a list of questions for you. उसमें से we have like a bunch of questions that we have personally picked out for ourselves. Rajat bro, can you actually maybe start with one of those? Yeah.
Yeah, we can proceed with this one. So, Usman, being the man of many talents, that you are the co-founder, writer, director, animator, and also the co-composer for the film. Which, as cool as it sounds, it is also a very challenging job to do, I believe. So, yeah, what were the challenges you faced while having so many responsibilities upon you?
The biggest challenge while making this film was just convincing people it's possible. That was the biggest hurdle because you know Steve Jobs had this. There's this quote from Steve Jobs that I really love. He said, "It takes years of work to be an overnight success." I mean, we put years and years and years of work into what everybody is seeing now. It was not easy. So the challenges were convincing and keeping everybody motivated, because not everybody had the vision for the project that I had.
Yeah.
Everybody came on board because they trusted in my vision, and I had to maintain that. And it was a sacred thing that I had to constantly keep telling people that it is possible. Don't lose hope, even in the darker times, where I never lost hope while making it. But there were certainly days where I was like, मैंने ये क्यों शुरू किया, ये बहुत मुश्किल है, I've bitten off more than I could chew. So that was the most challenging aspect, maintaining that sense of hope.
Yeah.
But then getting into like the everyday things, I storyboarded the entire film myself. So I wanted to make a film the way my heroes make their films. And I always watched Miyazaki drawing his films, and in all of the documentaries. Now, Isao Takahata doesn't draw his storyboards. Most recently, they were drawn by Osamu Tanabe, who did the storyboards for The Tale of Princess Kaguya. But I loved the process of those documentaries and watching those films come to life. So I planned the storyboards for the film, created them in great detail so that all the departments knew exactly what needed to be done. And the collaboration aspect was great, but also very challenging, just conveying the vision to everybody. And then once I was done with the storyboards, I shifted to production boards and animation. That had its own set of challenges. And then with the music, I wrote uh, a lot of the motifs that go into the film. But Carmine DeFlorio, the co-composer, he wrote a lot of motifs as well, and he actually scored to picture. So I wrote all of the music. I wrote the music in 2014, 2015, while I was working on the concepts for the characters before the team started growing, when it was just me. Music was challenging in its own way. Every single aspect was challenging. But the most challenging part was the routine, because we would work in the day. A day would start at about 9. I would usually be the first person in the studio, and it would end at around 6, 7. And then I would come back, rest a bit, and then we'd do all of our Zoom calls with our international partners. That was our routine. And because we were working primarily with Los Angeles, it's a 12-hour time difference. So our night is their morning. So we would have to wait till around 11 p.m., 12, sorry, yeah, 11 p.m. or 12 a.m. Pakistan time, 1 a.m.
Oh.
And then
Were you
they were
getting
12
any
hours
sleep in that
behind.
time?
So
Yeah.
it was very hard. That's what I'm saying. That routine was the hardest part, especially in the last 5 years. I mean, the first 5 years was just getting everything set up, and then the remaining 5 years was primarily this routine, and um, living that constantly was very tough. We wouldn't get much sleep, and especially when the pandemic hit, we had to divide our team into two groups, and people would come every alternate day, and we would go 6 days a week. So for the pandemic years, it was that routine for 6 days a week. So it was hard. It was very hard. This whole thing was very challenging.
Yep.
But I'm very grateful we merged on the other side.
Yeah, to have a vision, I feel it's great, but to inspire one, that's the hardest part.
हमारे यहाँ हमारे चैनल पे एक सेइंग है व्हाट वी से इज के यू नो एनिमे का चैनल हो और एनिमे के बारे में बात ना हो ऐसा हो नहीं सकता सो आई हैव अ क्वेश्चन व्हिच इज are you currently watching any animes like from the new generation, maybe and did you grow up watching maybe Dragon Ball Z or something like that?
So currently, I'm not watching anything. I'm watching The Boy and the Heron constantly. That film was amazing. Just came out on digital. But anime abhi koi nahi dekh raha. But yes, I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z and all the other anime that would come. But my favorite anime series is probably Evangelion. Neon Genesis.
Oh, Neon Genesis. Nice, nice, nice.
That's a very unconventional take, I would say.
Yeah.
वो हम सब ने देखा है.
Yeah.
I loved it ever since I was a kid, and I knew I shouldn't be watching this. Chota, and I just fell in love with it. And uh, The new movies were okay. I liked them, but the original series and especially the movie
End of
was
Evangelion.
End of Evangelion is just phenomenal.
When
I love
you when you were watching the finale of Evangelion, जो last का जो episode है, did that make any sense to you? Like when you were watching it for the first time, because we were quite confused. We didn't get it at all.
I got a
before I
headache.
before I knew why it looked like that. It was very strange. Then I found out they ran out of money, and
Yeah, production
Hideki
issues.
Anno had uh, things and wild ideas that he wanted to explore, and they explored it in that, and then they got the financing, so they made End of Evangelion, which is like the proper ending for the series. So I'm a huge Hideki Anno fan. I love his work. I even loved Shin Godzilla that he made. So he's amazing. But that,
Awesome.
if I were to pick a favorite series, it's Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Nice.
Have you watched the reboot movies that recently came out?
That's what I was saying. The new movies, the new Eva movies,
Oh,
they were
yeah.
they were interesting. It's like a alternate reality to what
So,
happened.
do you like
In-
understand the story or ending, or like uh,
of
go
the
on,
new
like
one or the old
try to
one?
explain it to us?
I will be lying if I
Ask,
said
asking for the impossible.
Because we are having some difficulties over here.
I didn't understand the new ending. I
Yeah.
didn't. The original ending took a while to understand with
Oh,
Sele or Zele as they call it now, and all of those things that were happening, and Lilith and Adam in Gendo's hand, all of that stuff. It's a weird, amazing show. It's amazing.
And
uh,
you said you grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, right? So Dragon Ball Z में से favorite character कौन सा था? That is like a defining question right there.
Favorite character always will be Goku because
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
he he's he's just so hopeful and optimistic all the time. You want someone like that in your life, someone who even when they're dead just keeps coming back and saying I'm ready to go again, and makes friends with all of his enemies. All of that stuff is just cute. I always was just gravitated towards Goku,
Yeah.
always.
Guys, we have a W for DVC community right here. रजत भाई और मैं खुश हैं. हम दोनों खुश हैं
बहुत
भाई.
ज्यादा. I was rooting for Vegeta gang, but ठीक है, Goku.
नहीं
is
भाई,
all
I
Goku.
like that's great character, but Goku is just the best. He is. There's a reason he's so popular, and I fully am fine with that. I'm part of the Goku camp.
Nice. And talking about
About-
yeah, sure. Go ahead, Tarun
about
bhai.
Evangelion, जो चीज मुझे डाइजेस्ट नहीं होती मूवीज के बारे में इज दैट शिंजी गॉट अ हैप्पी एंडिंग.
Nai film. Yeah, that was very strange. Oh, I did. I liked it for what it was. When I detach it from the original, it was a nice
Yeah.
exploration into that. It was him saying goodbye to Evangelion. No,
Okay,
I'm done with this now.
from the second movie, I think second movie does a great job in the climax with that song Tsubasa wo Kudasai, and there are new visuals and fight that was so amazing. Second movie is actually very good.
Yeah,
And
I liked the first two. They were kind of like re-explorations of the original, and then it
Yeah,
just
the first two.
on.
Oh, sorry. Go on, please.
Yeah, no, I was just saying it.
No, no, I was just
Interpretation of the originals, but then it
Mm.
went in a completely different
yeah,
direction. It's
yeah.
fine.
And music Evangelion का like हम लोग नशे करते हैं म्यूजिक के उसके. Like opening हो ending हो even the songs from End of Evangelion and बाकी movies के भी.
Yeah, if even if we like keep things like story or like understanding aside, the art direction of Evangelion, the original anime, it's
Yeah,
like one of the best of its times.
it's
That-
amazing.
Yeah,
And
that's why you just want to respect like Hideaki Anno for
Yeah.
what he came up.
and I even love Nadia and the Secret of the Blue Water, what he made before that. And Hayao Miyazaki assisted in that as well. So he's one of Miyazaki has said this, he's one of my disciples. So I've always had a just gravitated towards his work. It's very special.
We actually met Makoto Shinkai here in India.
Wow,
Yeah, we do.
amazing. He is
We
amazing.
we we met him. We shook his hands, and
Oh, and yeah, he said the same thing about creativity. Like even he is never satisfied with the
Mm.
final product, but
yeah.
he said that just be proud that you got it done and put it out.
And he's a
So
genius. I've been following him since I saw Voices from a Distant Star, which he made on his own. And everybody online was talking about this amazing film. I saw that. I saw The Place Promised in our early days. That was amazing. 5 centimeters per second is what started making him really
yeah,
famous.
that's
And then
where
I
everybody
loved The
starts.
Children Who Chase Lost Voices. That was an amazing movie. It reminded me kind of like it was a strange kind mixture of Princess Mononoke and Spirited Away. I loved that film. Garden of Words that was a small one, and then Your Name just took
Blew
off,
up.
and his star went into the stratosphere with that film.
Did you end up
Yeah,
watching Your Name, and maybe Weathering with You, any of those new ones?
In all his films, I love all his work.
Nice, nice, nice.
Yeah,
It's
Okay.
a
I was
different
mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like his work. It gives a different feeling. There's always a sense of longing in his movies, and he's now
yeah.
making a lot of these love stories, which he does. He's always done that, but I love his work. I think he is just visually stunning. All of the films are visually stunning. I think he does things with lighting without like the Klaus complicated lighting that they did for that film. He just does these things with rays of light and lens flares that nobody else can capture apart from him.
Mhm.
He's just amazing.
Cool. And
Yeah.
no, I
I was
have.
I was saying कि
Ash.
I was saying कि मैं जब उनसे मिला ना, we actually talked about Hideaki Anno and Evangelion. Like
What did he
Oh,
say?
he was wearing the Evangelion
I,
T-shirt.
I was wearing the Evangelion T-shirt, and he looked at it and he said, "Oh, Ano-san." Yes,
Wow,
that
that's
was
it.
that was a moment. I I will keep that T-shirt with me forever.
That's amazing.
And Usman, other than maybe Dragon Ball Z, right? Any other animes you watched, growing up?
Growing up, hmm. I mean, see, I grew up with the Ghibli films as well. I don't count those as anime. Ghibli is its own thing. But Kiki's Delivery Service was the first film I saw. We had this old VHS tape with Cartoon Network cartoons on it, a pirated tape. Someone had recorded them from TV. And when the cartoons would end, Kiki's Delivery Service would start, but it was recorded over it. So I think like 20 minutes into Kiki's Delivery Service. I was very small, but I remember being like, what is this? This is amazing. I didn't know who Hayao Miyazaki was. I didn't know what Studio Ghibli was. I just knew, and I like the credits of the opening title of the movie was also recorded over. So I didn't know what movie it was. I just knew there's something special about this. And then I started discovering that there's this director in Japan, Hayao Miyazaki, and he makes these amazing animated films. Princess Mononoke came out, Spirited Away came out. Spirited Away made Studio Ghibli supremely famous, more so than they already were. Uh, and then I followed every single film that came out, and he retires after every movie.
That's a joke at this point, but
Yeah, he's been saying that since Princess Mononoke. That I'm done with this now. I'm done with making feature length animation. I'm going to do something else or take a more advisory role, things like that. So he's been saying it since then. I really thought he was done after The Wind Rises,
This
but
actually reminds me of something. He in his maybe the last interview, he said that the golden age of anime is over.
yeah.
Like he said something like that. Do you think like it's anything like that? Because I feel like Abhi, the anime is taking over. Like it's still about to take over the world. That's what I think it's going on. What is your view?
I agree with him because the golden age of anime is Studio
See,
Ghibli.
I think what
I'm being very, very frank, and very. I'm glossing over a lot of things, but for me, again, they don't count themselves as anime. But when Miyazaki stops, it's the end of an era.
oh
Uh,
yeah,
for me.
that's
So
true.
I think he's looking at it like that because Isao Takahata is gone. There's no succession for Studio Ghibli. The all of his collaborators that he worked with, most of them aren't alive anymore. So for him,
Mm,
people who he remembers, because he didn't just do Studio Ghibli, he's worked on lots of things before that. Takahata and him worked on Heidi and Panda Go Panda, all of those things where there was this freedom in the industry. And
mm,
then he did Sherlock Hound, he did Lupin, Lupin the
yeah.
Third, did all of these things. Those properties and the way those things were done, the animation was done then, that is gone. It's entering a
Mm.
new age now. But I agree with Hayao Miyazaki.
Yeah,
The
it's
that he mm, started in the industry and pioneered, and the people who he worked with, all of them are gone, and now there are new creators emerging. Like I was in uh, Cannes where Ghost Cat Anzu was premiering. Have you heard of this film? Ghost Cat Anzu. It was a
no.
uh, I don't remember the director's name, but she's phenomenally talented, and her film was coming out, and that I found out that they did a lot of rotoscoping in that. It wasn't just animating through your imagination. It was a new way of making anime, and it looked amazing. So people are figuring out new things. A lot of CG is being implemented into anime. People are trying out new things, so it's going to change.
Okay.
I think there is also this art versus commercialization aspect to it also.
Yeah.
So a lot of things these days are produced to reach to masses and make more money, and there are so many restriction on what a creator can do and cannot do until and unless he is very famous.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's also what he's talking about, that things like Sherlock Hound might not be made anymore. Uh,
Mm.
it's all IP and property based, which is fine. That's a good thing. But I think the original stuff that they used to make, it's going to change now.
Mm. Okay,
Uh,
so
yeah,
I wanted to actually talk more about the film,
yeah.
its themes and stories. So, like, can you tell thoda thoda viewers के लिए what the film is about?
So the Glassworker is a coming of age story. I know this by heart because I've said this on all of the TED
Yeah.
stages and the NSC presentations. But The Glass Worker is a coming of age story about two children from separate walks of life. One is an apprentice glassblower named Vincent, learning from his father in the artisan glass shop, and the other is Elise, a gifted violinist struggling to find her own unique voice on the instrument. And the film follows both characters through their formative years as a growing threat of war strains their relationship.
That's like exactly what
Yeah.
it talks.
I've been
You know,
saying this for
Yeah.
years,
I was
so it's drilled into my brain now.
I was about to
Okay,
say I'm
so
lucky because my middle name is Vincent
सामने से हम
actually.
देख
My middle name is Vincent
रहे
actually. Yeah.
Oh.
Amazing.
So, about the characters that you mentioned, and मैंने काफी सारे आपके TED talks and जो भी behind the scene या production videos हैं स्टूडियो मानो के चैनल पे वो सब मैंने देखा. So I feel that the character of Vincent and Elise जो एक like अप्रेंटिसशिप में लाइक अपने फादर के अंडर सीख रहा है ग्लास वर्कर का, एंड द वायलिनिस्ट इज ट्राइंग टू फाइंड हर ओन वॉइस इन एन इंस्ट्रूमेंट. सो आई आई सी के आप जो बजाते हो म्यूजिक एंड आपका जो आर्ट एनिमेशन वाला एस्पेक्ट है दैट यू हैव लर्न बाय योरसेल्फ थ्रू मेंटर्स, इट रिफ्लेक्ट्स इन दीज कैरेक्टर्स. So is
Definitely.
it so?
No, definitely. The two characters are aspects of my personality. One is the music side and composition and all of my struggles with music and triumphs with music. Uh, कि अपनी म्यूजिक लिखनी है दूसरों की म्यूजिक सिर्फ नहीं बजानी because classical music is all about your repertoire and your interpretation of these amazing compositions and pieces that people have written
Yep.
and I wanted to write my own music. I grew up playing classical piano, so there was an exploration of that with Elise's character, and then with Vincent's character, the craftsman side. The for me, it's drawing and animation and storytelling and all of these things. And Vincent explores that with his glass, but the I guess the psychology behind making things and the artist's mind, for lack of a better word, is embodied in
Mhm.
Vincent's character, and it's like I'm having a conversation with myself through these characters.
So your personality, two passions, they went into these two characters.
I'm,
And
And about animation,
talking
hmm,
so,
talking about the movie, I sorry Tarun, to cut you off. I had a question, right? Is
yeah,
the when is the movie releasing in India? Is there like a like a chance like India में आ रही है?
I really
Indian fans are so excited actually.
We are excited actually. What?
see if we put out these videos and get people to see that there is a lot of excitement in India. I have a case to present that we have to release this in India. I want to release it in India. The thing is, the sales agent is handling all of this. Charades is our sales agent, and I'm very grateful to be working with them. They've distributed a lot of, sorry, they've been sales agents for Mamoru Hosoda's films. So it's a huge honor to be in the same uh, with the same sales agent that works with one of my favorite filmmakers. So currently, Pakistan is being the release is I think in 11 days. And then the various other territories we're going to be announcing soon. So deals are being struck as we speak. But obviously, I will keep everybody posted on social media when the movie can be seen. And I would love to show the film in India and share it with the incredible animation fans there because the YouTube analytics, I keep looking at them. Our English trailer, the majority of views for the English trailer have come from the United States, but then what I thought would be second as Pakistan is actually India.
Yes.
And all uh, from India, and there's so much support, overwhelmingly positive support from
Yeah.
India. Like I knew people would get excited when they saw it, but I didn't think it would be this much. So I'm just saying to all of the anime and animation fans in India, thank you so much. I'm very grateful.
They are eagerly waiting. They are eagerly waiting for the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, one guy from Poland also.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Okay,
like,
so
yeah. Forget.
so you also mentioned that Indian films, that you love Indian films so much that the industry is so good. So what are your favorite Indian movies, Bollywood movies, or in general Indian movies?
My favorite Bollywood film is Lagan. I think it's such
Oh.
an amazing movie. And from everything from the art direction, the acting, the music, the story, it's just a perfect movie. And it's so good. That is probably my favorite Bollywood film of all time.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, like you said in the beginning, right? You like Bollywood because like film industry of India is actually way ahead. But you know, the thing that we are actually lacking in a lot is the animation, and we can like tell you, अभी तक TV पे Chota
Uh,
Bheem and like
yeah. No,
You
not
still have
exactly.
you still have an
Yeah,
industry that's doing animation. यहाँ पे uh, there are a lot of independent studios and independent creators making things, and our CG animation in terms of films is doing really well. Hand-drawn animation is very hard to do. There's an amazing studio in India, Ghost Animation. They do traditional hand-drawn animation, and I met them at NSC this year. We had a wonderful conversation with them. I'm a huge fan of their work. So they are doing incredible work, and you should check them out. Ghost Animation. They've done two animated shorts. One was at NSC, and that is just phenomenal work. And I reached out to them a long time ago, 3 4 years ago, for assistance and in betweens. They were busy then, they didn't respond, but then they came and for the Glassworker stuff, and I thanked them for coming. And they're doing wonderful work. So like the Chota Bheem and stuff, that's for,
Oh,
I guess,
money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
well,
that's for kids. Kids love it, and let
it's not
them
it.
enjoy.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's just
Yeah.
that there's more work being done in India than there is being done in Pakistan in terms of
Mhm.
all of the animation stuff. The We've just made a few more films, but hand-drawn animation, making a film is just very hard. It's
Yeah.
very hard.
Yes, yes.
I feel very blessed to be on the other side of making this and still holding on to my sanity. It almost
Okay.
left, but that's
Okay,
the
I had one question for you. Uh, since you started making the film to now, a lot of things have changed in the way things are animated, like
yeah.
CG implementation, 3D, and even AI. So,
Yeah.
did you ever feel like कि अगर 2D में इतना ज़्यादा struggle है, so why not try using something that can make it easier or maybe faster to produce?
I don't have a technical understanding for how 3D animation is done. I know theoretically how it's done, but I can't implement it. I don't know how it works. I don't know anything about the rendering. I don't know how the lighting works. I can't imagine films in. I can't imagine working on it. Obviously, if you work with a talented team of people, वो तो कुछ भी बना सकते हैं. I believe in drawing everything,
Nope.
and I think I've been institutionalized in the Hayao Miyazaki approach because, like,
Hmm.
since I was a kid, he's been saying draw everything, draw everything, draw everything. That's again imprinted in my brain. I can't think any other way. If I have to, I would love to work on some other form of animation, but I have a very strong technical understanding for the way 2D animation is done, and specifically this kind of animation. Disney animation, the Western approach is completely different. They focus a lot more on the fluidity of the motion, and they
Hmm.
have the luxury of being able to put in a billion drawings. I didn't have that luxury. Japanese animation and the style of animation that I wanted to go for was more of a hybrid of the two approaches, but leaning heavily towards the Japanese style, which is a focus
Yeah.
on good silhouettes, good drawings, and relying on your keyframes and hitting strong key positions for the characters. And it's very pose oriented compared to Western animation, which is the entire motion in itself. Japanese animation is pose oriented and expressive. So that I knew I could do, because even though Ghibli has a lot of frames in their drawings, they're not the same amount of frames as, say, The Lion King or Aladdin or all of
Hmm.
the Disney works that were produced in the Second Renaissance. Even when they were making their first films, like the ones that Walt Disney directed, but like Snow White,
Yep.
Pinocchio, and be so many drawings go into those. I knew that would be impossible in Pakistan.
It has
So it was a
70,000 pages, right? Like frames, 70,000 frames around. That's the number, right, for Glassworker? Or is it more than that? 70,000?
it's a 100-minute film, and we can take an average of, there's some frames, some shots that have a higher frame rate or more drawings,
Hmm.
some shots with lower drawings, but you can take an average of 12. So 12 frames per second uh, multiplied by 100 minutes, you'll get your
Oh,
number.
that's even more than that.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
It's a lot of drawings, but not as much as Ghibli and not as much as Disney.
Yeah. But in itself, like that is a lot of pages. Like many recently big
72,000.
yeah
72,000
7,000.
it
Ah,
is.
okay.
72,000.
I actually
Okay.
tried drawing on my iPhone just for like checking the animation, how much it takes, and I found like 250 pages came to like maybe like like a minute or something, and I was like, wow,
Yeah, that's the like I said, it's a lot of
lot of work.
work.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I
yeah,
believe I believe making 2D animation has not really changed much. What you did traditionally back then, now you're doing the same thing digitally.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
exactly
So
the same thing. The only
that's
difference is digitally you can like if you draw on the wrong part of the paper when
you
you're animating on paper, you can't lasso that and
yeah,
move that up.
yeah.
So that's
yeah,
the only
yeah.
thing that's changed. Other than that, it's the same process.
It's the same thing.
Mm.
Yeah, Ashley.
Oh, sorry. So my question was, have you been to India? And like, if you have, like,
Oh,
So I've been to India twice in my life. I came once with school. Uh, I was 15 or 16, and I was performing at some young leaders conference, I think in Lucknow. I don't remember. But I went there, and then for TEDx Gateway in Mumbai in 2013. I gave a talk there, and that became, I think, one of the highest viewed TEDx talks in Asia. I think it has 10 million views now. So
wow.
I performed, I played guitar, I played a few other
oh,
instruments.
what
Um,
is the title of that?
just write TEDx Gateway Usman Riaz, it'll come up.
Is that the one where
Okay,
you were
we'll see.
showing the full, the where the main message was कि humans are like have infinite amount of potential to like do creative things. Is that the one? Ah, okay, I've seen that one. Yeah, I've seen that. It was amazing actually. You were describing the music, the animation stuff, and also like the percussion through the body and that
The
stuff.
first,
That was
oh
also
yeah.
cool.
Yes. Okay, this is the first thing that comes up when, when we search Usman Riaz.
It's actually really
No,
good.
so
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, like crazy guitar skills.
thank you. I've always been really uh, welcomed in India, and I'm very grateful. And I was supposed to, at one point, perform with A.R. Rahman. There was a whole
Oh,
article
Wow.
published.
yeah.
A.R. Rahman comes to TED. So I've met him, I think, twice or three times at TED. He's amazing. He is a genius. And uh, we were meant to play, he was doing some concert that was going to be aired on television. This was in 2013, I think, early 2013, right after my TEDx Gateway attendance. And I didn't get the visa the second time. That I was really, really bummed about because it would have been such a huge honor to just do contribute to one small aspect of this geniuses
Yep.
ensemble.
And Usman, talking about your animation, let's say the future, right? Do you think कि आने वाले future में you will be making another movie or maybe working on like an actual series like with episodes, in like of course with Mono Studios.
So making this film, as I've said many times, was so difficult. Right now, I just want to release it and not think about anything.
Yeah,
Uh, I
that
have
makes
a lot
sense.
of, but see, the other thing is making this in this particular way. I don't want to ever make a film like this again. I want to do it a different way. Maybe find a more pragmatic approach to making films because this was, I described the routine to you.
Yep.
It's working all day and then working all night. Uh, can't be done like that. I'll
Yeah.
die. So I would like to find a better approach. And the funny thing is, we're not doing anything new in that sense. It's new for the subcontinent, it's new for Pakistan. But at the end of the day, it's not something like we haven't invented a new way of doing animation. So I kept thinking throughout this whole journey, why is it so hard for us to do this? And I think it just comes down to inexperience and also just doing it for the first time here. I know that God willing, if I get to make more, it'll be easier, and each subsequent one will get easier. But it's a
Definitely.
miracle to make one film. So if another miracle is in my future, then I would love that.
I'm pretty sure you have inspired a lot of animators in Pakistan now, because I feel like ये एक momentum शुरू करेगा in Pakistan where people will be like, okay, there is a future in this and we can actually break through and make it like Usman did. So I feel like it's hats off to you,
Yeah,
your efforts.
100%.
Your efforts will definitely pay out in the future for like other animators as well, because वो लोग inspire होके कुछ अपना भी बनाएंगे. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
all your efforts.
that would be amazing, and I really, really hope that happens.
Yep.
Not just animators, मैंने जो TED Talks देखी, even I was so inspired.
Yeah.
कितना talent है, and especially the TED Talk where you talk about bloom where you are planted. So the whole journey to set up animation and build everything from scratch. It's and you speak with so much heart. That's so inspiring, truly.
Thank you very much.
There was this one piece you released. It was like a music video. In that particular music video, you were actually sitting and playing. You were imagining the audience was actually around you, but at the very end, it's you who actually walks up to yourself and you are like actually like appreciating your efforts. While you were while you were still in that era, let's say I think it was like around 2015 or 16, something like that, if I'm not wrong.
That video you're talking about was 2011.
2011. Okay, 2011 actually. All right. So during that era and jo ab ka jo era hai, I feel like in the comment section of pretty much every video, people have mentioned, right, कि back then people didn't actually support you a lot. They found your music kind of like let's say different in a sense कि it didn't make sense to them. They couldn't actually comprehend the composition of the pieces, right? And now in the comment section it's totally different. Where people like भाई ये देखो भाई ये होता है सुपरस्टार, like they're like भाई इसने करा है, like he has done so much. And do you feel like maybe the approach of the people has changed after the announcement of Glassworker and your compositions?
I think, first of all, thank you so much. I think persistence is important. If you keep working at what you do, eventually you will find an audience and people who appreciate your work. And the most important thing is also doing it for yourself. I'm a big believer in if the work isn't resonating with a lot of people, then there is something wrong, and maybe you're being a little self-indulgent. I'm not very self-indulgent when it comes to my work, so I know that I have to be patient, and it will find its audience. That video was such a long time ago, but I always motivate myself. So I just thought it's cheesy, but let's just keep it simple and honest. And I've always been like that when it comes to my work. Just be honest when you make something. Be genuine, and I think that's why it resonates with the niche audience that I have. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. It was actually really pleasant. I heard the piece and I was mesmerized by as soon as you transition from just the stiff chords and like tones, you directly transition into the percussion stuff, and I was like, wow. I was like, wow, the seamless transition was so good, and then you come back to just like finish the piece with another hammering of the strings. That was actually, मैं बोलूँगा बहुत अच्छा था. मैं like I'm also a musician. Tarun bhai is also a musician. We're like kind of musicians, not like your level. like मतलब
मैं तो धिक्कार हूँ.
we are like still getting let's say we are still learning. Definitely we're still in the beginning phases, but it's like even now when I listen to your pieces, even that particular piece you played in the Coke studio, right, for the it was on a piano, actually grand piano, right? It was a grand piano. And the momentum of your hands, I could see the classical person coming out, like it was so apparent that you actually like love the art and you love the music itself. And I feel like yeah, I feel like you're blessed. You know, like you're blessed by God. Definitely, you're blessed by God.
Thank you very much. No, I'm very very grateful. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, that's why.
एक मैं बहुत थोड़ा पर्सनल पूछना चाहूंगा.
जी जी.
ठीक है. सो यू हैव लर्न मोस्टली, जितना मैंने देखा है आपके वीडियोस से, यू हैव ऑलमोस्ट लर्न एवरीथिंग बाय योरसेल्फ. And if I'm not wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, that you dropped your art and architecture degree and even the music degree. So
Yeah.
wasn't it scary to not have that, मुझे properly यहाँ से सीखने मिल जाएगा, but to go all in on your own?
The first one, when I dropped out, so I went to two colleges. I went to Indus Valley School of Art and Architecture for 2 years. I studied uh, graphic design and illustration there, and I was leaning towards the illustration side. I didn't want to do fine arts there because I did fine arts in O levels and A levels. I wanted to explore something else. And then TED happened. So I dropped out of Indus Valley after 2 years to go on like a TED and TEDx tour for the next year, where I was invited to all of these TEDx conferences all over the world. And then I wound up at a Google conference in Boston, and the dean of admissions from Berklee College of Music was there. And then he offered me a full scholarship to Berkeley. And then I went to Berkeley. And then I kept going back to the TED conferences. And then I was like, animation is becoming a reality.
Yeah.
I went to Japan. And then when I just embarked on the animation journey, I was still going to Berkeley. So I would stay up. I would go to my classes in the day and then stay up at night working with the kind of small team that we had formed. And I was starting to fall sick. So I had to choose, do I continue in music? And I've been blessed to get a free ride in this wonderful institution. And that was very scary. It was, because I picked animation. And then I went to the main office building with my paper dropping out for the second time. And मेरे हाथ कांप रहे थे as I gave the paper in to the assistant that was sitting there. And I thought I would have to sign all these things, but they said, no, you're done. Yeah, you're out. So then I walked out and took a walk and calmed down and said, okay, now let's go all in. You know how when like Light Yagami, jab L mar jata hai, he's like,
Oh,
like
that's
it really, that's what I was thinking.
अचानक से आया.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Now I'm the god of this new world.
yeah.
Basically,
Duke, I will show you what interesting things I can do.
Yeah. That was it. My way of motivating myself. Go like that. But it was very scary. It was.
Talking about Death Note, who were you rooting for? Like throughout the whole thing, were you rooting for Light or were you rooting for L?
When I was a kid and I watched it, I was rooting for L and then Mellow and Near. And now I like to root for Light, but he dies in the end, so he doesn't win. But yeah.
There is like a rumor actually. There is a second sequel coming to Death Note. Like Abhi, I think it's like in production or something. I don't know. Apparently, it's like getting like yeah. There is a sequel coming, bro. Death Note something. I don't know.
How can they do it without Light? Or will they?
So it's like it's another story. Somebody else is the protagonist this time. So I think, or not a sequel. It's not a sequel. Yeah, sorry. It's like another series. But yeah,
Not a Death Note.
yeah.
I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
And Usman, one question that I actually had in my list, I didn't ask it yet. If you could give out the message to the Indian anime viewers who are waiting for this movie to be released in India, you could say something to them. What would be the message to them?
The first thing I will say is what I said before, that the overwhelming support that we've gotten from India really has really moved me. I'm supremely grateful, and thank you to all of the animation fans there. this film was very difficult to make, and to receive so much support from people who consume this kind of animation uh, really means a lot. And I'm doing my absolute best to somehow get the film to India, and I would love that.
We would love that as well.
Love that.
And actually, there are. I love especially the music that is produced in Pakistan Coke Studio. Uh, Ali Sethi and okay, I'm very bad with names, but there is this album Vulture Prince,
Hmm.
which won Grammy as well in 2022. I love that.
Who is it by?
Wait a
Was it
second.
Aruj Aftab?
Yeah, Aruj Aftab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Yeah.
Let's just go back to the film. So, like a very simple question: what what is the message you try to convey with the film?
The message, if I were to really boil it down, is one of perseverance. I won't
Okay.
even say hope, more perseverance, because growing up in Pakistan, the world changed after 9/11, and growing up in that environment, you always felt this base level of anxiety and worried about what is going to happen. And when you're a kid, you don't really notice it. Uh, but when you get older, you look back on it and say that was a little strange. That whole experience was strange, and I think I wanted to just capture that feeling that there's a war approaching. What do people do, and what does it mean to be an artist in that time? And the thing that I was doing throughout my youth and teenage years was getting lost in the arts and the craft of drawing and writing music, and just that mentality. I wanted to somehow kind of capture that with this film. So that's what I wanted to do with it. But then it evolved into something which was the primary message of the film is it's an anti-war film. And I've said this many times as well, that I believe that war is not the answer to anything, and ultimately it's the people suffer who get caught in the conflict, regardless of whoever the victor is. And that's what I try to show in the film, the stupidity of war and what happens to people, but also the reasons wars are fought. War is not just, it's not just a film about pacifism. War is also fought to uh, protect people and protect the arts and culture as well. Because my mother was the daughter of one of our army colonels, and what does it mean to come from that sort of family? So exploring all of that from a very objective point of view. That's why I didn't base the film anywhere. I want it to be a fictitious setting, and just exploring these ideas and what it means to be a civilian and an artist in this kind of environment. So the short answer is perseverance. The long answer is what I just described.
There is actually one line in the trailer I just watched. It said something like, "Without art and music, what is there in this conflicted world?"
Yeah, the line is, without art and music, what do we have in this world filled with conflict?
Yeah.
That Mariam wrote that line, and that was a brilliant line for the movie. We were
Amazing.
That actually made me think for a while.
Yeah.
What is there?
Yeah. So I was looking for something to kind of act as a bookend for a certain scene, and Mariam was reading this wonderful book, and it was exploring the idea of why wars are fought, and wars are fought to preserve the arts and preserve culture. So she took that and kind of twisted it and turned it into this, which is, without art and music, what else do we have in this world filled with conflict and war? So I really liked that, and we incorporated that into the film, and I think that's one of the strongest messages that we have in the film.
Definitely. Usman, before we actually, before we ask you a question, we're not taking your time, right? Because you said that you have, it's fine.
Schedule.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Okay, I got a question. uh, so most of what is described about the film
Mm.
is grounded in reality, but in trailer I also see some supernatural things.
Yeah.
Like there's a mention of jinn. So can you tell us about something about that?
The jinn in the film is an unreliable narrator. So when you see the film, you'll see it from a certain point of view, and it can allow you to recontextualize certain scenes. I'm giving a very long, pretentious answer. I don't want to do that.
Is he like the Watcher from Marvel?
It's not like you know what? Yeah, it is like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Watcher
because
from.
that's what I got
Oh,
it from.
okay, okay. Is he also like the Calcifer from Howl's Moving Castle?
No, I wanted it to not be at all like Calcifer, because that's Calcifer, and
Okay.
I wanted it to be. I can't describe it without describing the
Okay.
story.
Oh, okay, 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 okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
Uh, it's an element in the film that makes you question whether it's reality or not. That's why we put
Mm.
it.
Oh, it adds the surrealism.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
great.
yeah. Because
Mm.
in the Marvel universe as well, Watcher has this a role of just taking a back and just observing. कि, yeah, this is happening. ये हो रहा है. मैं बता देता हूँ ये हो रहा है. Uh, by the way, Usman, talking about Marvel, have you actually like watched, like, or maybe read the comics, or maybe have you also watched the animated series X-Men '97? Anything?
I'm a huge Marvel Comics fan, and
Oh,
uh, primarily a huge Spider-Man fan. So I'm
Oh,
just,
W. W.
yeah, I've been reading Spider-Man comics since I was
Oh
old
yeah,
enough to read.
I just.
Yeah, Spider-Man was my point of entry into the larger Marvel universe, and like following all of the arcs through the various Spider-Man issues. Because I didn't really read a lot of the other comics, so I would just follow his arcs, and then there would be this huge
Multiverse,
multiversal
yeah.
event things that would happen, or civil war, things like that. But then when I got a little older, I started reading a lot of the Marvel's graphic novels are great, but then I got into the DC graphic novels, which were amazing. The works of Frank Miller,
Yep.
all of those are incredible. So I read the Marvel issues, but with DC, I like reading their graphic novels. Like Alex Ross's work is just phenomenal, and yeah, Kingdom Come, things like that. Love those.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And Usman, I think मेरे पास एक question था. I completely forgot to ask, but it somehow rekindled. Actually, you said you were trying to get in contact with some Indian animation studios to actually help out you with the Glassworker in the production processes. Is there anybody Indian working in the team right now, like जो मदद जिसने मतलब थोड़ा help करा हो with the production?
Not on the animation crew, but Apurva Bakshi
Yeah.
is executive producer on The Glassworker, and she's the Emmy award-winning producer of Delhi Crime. So it's a huge honor to be working with Apurva, and she's been a huge support for the project, and very grateful to be working with her.
Awesome, awesome.
Actually, about the production team, I was so shocked to know that people like dropped out of college and left their
Yeah.
stable careers being doctors for this film. That's like
It's a
truly, I've never heard
it's a
something like
it's
that.
a testimony to the belief and the faith of the people in the movie. Like definitely. मैंने भी जब वो वाला पूरा documentary देखा about the backstory of Glasswork, I was like, wow, these guys are like so like so passionate about this, and
Usman basically,
yeah,
yeah, Usman, I guess, did some Johan Lee work
yeah.
with them.
See, I had to. This is what I meant. Why I had to keep everybody motivated, and I did that for almost 10 years. That's why I'm so tired now. But I'm very grateful that people believed in the project and came on board, and we had a amazing and awful production cycle making this thing. Awful because it was so long, but amazing because I got to work with a phenomenal team in Pakistan and a phenomenal team internationally to bring it to life. Um, so it's a special experience, and I documented the whole thing. So the documentary that you're seeing, there's 7 episodes out now. I have to put 5 more up. There are 12 in total about just the entire journey making this.
It's incredible. Like कि कितना मोटिवेशन चाहिए 10 साल तक खुद लगे रहने के लिए एंड पूरी टीम को कैरी करने के लिए. Truly amazing and
Thank,
many congratulations first of all that
Yeah.
it's getting released and
thank you.
best of luck. मतलब
I
we
don't.
really want it to be really successful and we hope to see it soon in India as well.
Oh yes.
I would love that. I'm going to do everything I can to get it to release in India.
We hope. We hope so. We hope so.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And Rajat bhai, you have any of the questions left from the list, or is it all done? Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So done?
Let's wrap.
We had a request. If you have an instrument,
Oh, can
do you have an
yeah.
instrument near you
I don't
in your
actually have
vicinity?
it near me right now. I would have if there was.
Oh,
Oh no.
Yes.
I-
okay, that's unfortunate. So, anyways, we can wrap it now.
Yeah. I just wanted to make a last comment before we actually wrap it up. I feel like, your kids will have this flex on other kids. Okay, my dad made an animated movie, bro. Like they'll be like, my dad started this
first one in
revelation.
Pakistan.
Yeah, Pakistan mein.
Thank you so much. I really put everything I had into it, and I'm just grateful it's done. Because the worst thing would have been not finishing this movie, because we got so close and then we couldn't do it. So I thank God every day that it's finished and done. Because yeah, I imagine scenarios where when things were very difficult, had the funding not come through, or had the partners not come through, or if I had just lost motivation, it would have been such an awful feeling. So the fact that it's done is a testament to the hard work we put in, and I I've used this word so much, but I just am so grateful. I'm very grateful.
Okay. Usman, thank you so much for providing the whole backstory of Glassworker, and just thank you so much for accepting the invitation from us first of all, because
Yeah, we are so glad.
we're so glad.
इतना talented इंसान हमारे साथ है.
So
You may not realize it right now, but you are leaving a really big legacy.
Yeah.
When you will look back at it, you will feel great, like that you did it.
thank you.
Maybe
I can't wait for that day because abhi to I'm just like
You're tired, exhausted.
but it was so great talking to all of you. You gave me so much energy, reminded me why I do this, and thank you. I really, you saw how tired I was in the beginning of the call.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
so much energy talking to all of you. I really appreciate it. Thank you
Pleasure
for
is ours.
reminding me how amazing this craft is, and how lucky I am to have finished the film. Thank you.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure having you. So, boys and gals, तुम लोगों को पता है भाई क्या करना है? फटाफट से एक petition शुरू करो. Start asking for Glassworker to come in India. ठीक है? And with that, we are done with the episode. You can actually check out the first episode already. It will be up by the time this episode is uploaded. And again, Usman, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining. With that, we are done, guys. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Also, भूलना petition कर देना. And yeah. Have a nice tea. See you guys later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.